Hello and welcome to BrookesTV. I'm Maddie Wilcox.
And I'm Tats Maizika. This week we take a look at fire safety issues in student accommodations and delve into fashion with a report on Oxford Fashion Week.
But first, Marston residents have had flooding issues for years and are now concerned about further impact from the new Barton Park development.
Early last year, the residents narrowly escaped their homes being flooded with raw sewage.
It was on a Saturday morning. It had been raining very heavily for several days, and then the first thing we noticed was that rain was pouring in, water was pouring in from our neighbour's garden, and it transpired that sewerage was coming up the manholes from their garden and also 2 or 3 houses along. Initially their gardens were flooded and then ours was.
We spoke to the independent councillor for Marston, who has been campaigning on behalf of the residents.
Well, I think the major concern at the moment is that with all the new utilities that they'll be using and everything, we're going to get all the problems coming down to us, because there's 2 brooks coming off of Barton Brook. The first one's Peasmore Brook, which runs down through North Way, comes across the bypass onto Marsh Lane, comes round the back of Horseman Close, then it goes along Cherwell Drive, round the back of Beachy Avenue houses, and it finishes up again in the recreation ground down by Rippington Drive. Now that's the first brook. The second brook is what we call Marston Brook. Now Marston Brook comes straight across the bypass along Housefield Road, round the back of Arlington Drive, and it comes back through that, and it also meets up again with the Peasmore Brook, and the 2 of them come into the recreation ground together and go into the River Cherwell.
Although the developers of Barton Park are of a different opinion.
Argument, but the situation is we can't do anything else on our side to improve what happens at Marston. It's not, you know, we only have one piece of land, if you understand, so there's a limit to what we can do on that side to improve the situation at Marston.
In the meantime, the residents are appealing for improved sewage system after 2 ponds failed to cope with high rainfall last year. We tried to reach Thames Water, who are in charge of sewage in Oxford, but they replied with a statement. Following on from last year's wet winter, we are carrying out a study of our sewer system in Oxford and the surrounding area, which includes Marston. This is a complex job which has already involved months of data gathering and will help us pinpoint exactly where investment is needed. This is Chooks Udoji reporting for BrookesTV.
Students have been ignoring fire alarms at an international accommodation block at Cowley in Oxford. The false alarms have been happening at least twice a week. Elise Askeven reports.
Fire safety is an issue that all university students staying in halls are well aware of. From fire drills to emergency exits, they are briefed thoroughly and made aware from the start of the academic year that this is an issue to be taken seriously. However, this is not always the case. Lately, in an international student accommodation in Cowley, this has been an issue. Fire alarms are set almost weekly by residents.
Yes, of course. Actually, I was making some eggs. I was making fried eggs, and I don't know why, maybe there was some smoke and the fire alarm rang.
But while the cause of the fire alarm may be some innocent cooking, students should still follow the safety procedures and evacuate their rooms.
A few months ago, when I arrived in Oxford, I was following the steps that we should do when we had the fire alarm. But after a few attempts, when we actually knew that the fire was not here, we understood that it was probably kind of boring to just go down and wait for probably 10 minutes before the fire men to come in.
Initially, when I first moved in, I tended to, we had the debrief to come into the reception area and try and evacuate the building within less than sort of 6 minutes. But as time went on and the fire alarms became more and more prevalent as well as unnecessary, it kind of became less important to me to go out.
We spoke to Paul Riley, a member of Oxfordshire's Fire and Rescue Service, to get his opinion on the matter.
We get them fairly regularly. However, some of these are false alarms, and some, unfortunately, are real fires. I mean, we have no problem going to false alarms. I mean, it's actually a good thing that we arrive and it's not actual fire, nobody's actually hurt. But as I'm saying, the smoke alarm does go off for a reason, and the reason is there's an actual fire. Now, it could be a false alarm, it could be somebody cooking and burnt food, or it could be an actual fire. We never know, and nobody ever knows. So what you must do is when the fire alarm goes out, you must evacuate the premises straight away, because it could be a fire.
Even if it's just a fire alarm set off by harmless frying on the stove, the fire department still needs to show up. So this begs the question, are there resources being wasted on situations that could be easily prevented?
No, definitely not. I mean, we are here to save life and to save property, and this is one of the things we go to.
As comforting as it is to know that the Fire and Rescue Service will always do whatever it takes to protect and serve Oxfordshire, if students don't become aware of how serious the consequences of their actions can be, things could turn out tragically. This is Elise Askaven reporting for BrookesTV News.
In other news, the fashion students in the foundation programme at Oxford Brookes recently participated in Oxford Fashion Week.
We sent John French to investigate.
The Genesis Concept Show at Oxford Fashion Week showcases tech-inspired, unconventional designs. This year, student designers from Oxford Brookes University participated in the event.
Well, we're very pleased to have the Brookes students involved. I mean, myself and the director, Carl Anglin, both really enjoy going to Graduate Fashion Week because you catch the emerging talent. You know, a problem with being in the industry too long is that your creativity can be channeled into other people's visions, whereas if you can catch the students when it's just them, it's just their plans, it's just their vision, and it's so unique, and it just has something that's different to anything else.
My name is Lucy Turner and I am the course leader for Foundation Art and Design, and I also teach the Fashion, Textiles and Costume pathway on the course as well. The course is a one-year pre-degree course called a Foundation Diploma in Art and Design, and it's equipped to give students a really thorough grounding in all subjects within art and design for them to make choices for what they want to study at degree. And I worked with the students who have chosen to do fashion design at university. The design team was made up of 12 students. They worked in pairs to put together a collection for Oxford Fashion Week. They worked really well. They had a really short time frame to do it. They probably put the collection together within about 4 days because we work such a kind of close, quick process on foundation. They've also been all going off for interviews for degrees as well, and they've had lots of their own other work to do. So this was a kind of on top of all the other things, they had to put together a collection for Oxford Fashion Week. So it was quite a quick turnaround with the things that they had done.
I'm Rose Avilés. I'm doing fashion design here on the Art and Design Foundation course at Oxford Brookes University. I've been doing fashion design for a while now, and I just last week got the opportunity to participate in Oxford Fashion Week, showing my collection, which is here. It's just a few pieces of it. It was a lot of fun. This is one of the looks from the collection. It focuses on Guatemalan textiles and kind of Mayan tradition. It was a great opportunity to kind of get the designs out for the first time. I've not done a fashion week before, I've not done a show before, so it's the first collection, first show. Last year I helped out backstage, kind of dressing the models and stuff with a few other students from the course, and that was kind of my first introduction to Oxford Fashion Week.
I can't wait to see what they come up with for next time. John French, BrookesTV.
That's it for this half. After the break, we'll have an interview with Simon Hunt, chairman of Cyclox, Oxfordshire's cycling advocacy group. A report on Brookes women's game against Loughborough University, and we check out new Churchill exhibition at Blenheim Palace.
See you soon.
Hi and welcome back to BrookesTV.
Last week, Simon Hunt, chairman of Cyclox, Oxfordshire's cycling advocacy group, came into the studio to talk to my co-presenter Maddie about their current priorities. She started by asking him if Cyclox had been consulted on the various infrastructure developments in Oxford.
Yes, we have been consulted on all those things, but there's consultation and consultation, if I can put it that way. For every project like this, there needs to be, by law, a public consultation where anybody can make a comment on a plan that's being put forward and suggest improvements, and of course Cyclox does do that. So that's a kind of reactive consultation, but actually much more important is to get on the ground floor before these things ever get turned into projects with drawings and that sort of thing. So you're looking at it much more strategically, so you're making a route and you're...
So do you feel you've been listened to?
Certainly in the first kind, yes, we're listened to just like everybody else is, and our comments go to the cabinet member for transport and he has to read them through. But the influential bit, I have to say there are some parts where we don't think we've been listened to.
So what more could be done, do you think?
We need to understand better how we can offer ourselves to help at the beginning stages of a project before the parameters have been set. So like the plane, for instance, do we really have to have 19,000 vehicles a day going through the plane? Or would there be a way to cut that down to something less busy? That would help cycling just as much as re-engineering it.
So in your view, what would make the biggest difference to cyclists in Oxford?
A joined up, fully joined up network, particularly on the direct routes, segregated or so-called semi-segregated where possible, so that people feel they're separate, and a route that a well-trained 12-year-old could ride on and their parents would think that it's perfectly okay for him or her to do that.
So we have here, and this is about your vision in Oxford, so what can you see Oxford looking like in 2020?
Well, if I can just hold it up.
No problem.
So this is a short version of our manifesto and what we think could be done. This is the longer version with the research data behind it, about 30 pages. Most people only look at that. So this is about the joined up network for the direct routes and for quiet routes too, so people can go on leisure activities or maybe they don't want to face the heavier traffic part.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's been really interesting to talk to you today. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Actually, experiments in Oxford have consistently shown that cycling is also the fastest way to get around the city anyway.
So it's greener, cheaper and faster, so you can see the benefits.
Now it's 50 years since the death of Sir Winston Churchill and 75 years since his finest hour at the Battle of Britain. Kate DeBan went to his birthplace, Blenheim Palace, to see how these anniversaries are being marked.
A reinvigorated permanent exhibition has recently opened at his birthplace, Blenheim Palace. Designed to provide insight into both his public and private life, we went to find out what's new.
Well, the whole presentation of the exhibition is completely new and totally refurbished. We have some new items on display that have never been on display before at Blenheim, but also we have a few technological gizmos that we've never had before. So in the room that is dedicated to his art and his literature, we have on a touch screen various books that he wrote, and you can move the page as if you were moving the page of a proper book, and it will turn the page and you can read what he wrote. So we have some nice touches like that. Most people who've done a basic history of the Second World War at Blenheim know that he was Prime Minister during the Second World War. They may know a little bit about his career beforehand. But what people probably don't know is the family connection here. So the whole point of this exhibition, within the framework of his career and his life, is to point out all the connections with Blenheim and the family here. So the stories really concentrate on the times that he was here, the times that he was with members of the family elsewhere. And so what we hope people will go away with is a clear understanding that he was a Blenheim man.
So while the exhibition has a clear emphasis on highlighting Churchill's connection to Blenheim Palace, we asked what makes him still relevant today.
Our history is what makes the great in Great Britain, and without people like Churchill and indeed his great ancestor Lord Marlborough, the first Duke of Marlborough, Britain wouldn't be the country it is today.
It's relevant because Churchill definitely was the leader who got us through the war. Without him, who knows where we would be today, whether we'd still have our freedom.
I know he famously said, "History will be kind to me because I'll write it." And indeed he did write an enormous amount of history. But his works, his history of the First World War and the Second World War, nobody can hold a candle to them. They're absolutely amazing, and the depth of knowledge that he has. And also, wherever you go in the world, somebody will quote a Churchill-ism at you. So he is still very much part of our lives, even if you don't realise you're actually quoting Churchill.
Let us, therefore, brace ourselves to our duties, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
This is Kate DeBan for BrookesTV.
Churchill always was an inspiring figure.
Yes, he was. I dare say he is second only to the Queen, or maybe David Beckham, in British cultural awareness.
And finally, in sports news, the Oxford Brookes women's lacrosse team are undefeated this season after 3 years of failing to advance to the first round. The team recently played against Loughborough University in the quarter-finals. That's with the Midlands Conference Cup. We sent Lish Mortley to cover the event.
Recently, Oxford Brookes Ladies Lacrosse played Loughborough in the Midlands Conference Cup quarter-finals at Wheatley campus. This is the furthest that Brookes has progressed in the Conference Cup in years. Both teams exhibited great skill and determination throughout the match. However, Brookes took a strong lead early on in the game and sustained this until the end, finally winning 18-11, advancing them to the semi-finals of the Cup. The girls were supported by the Brookes men's lacrosse team, who would later go on to face Warwick in their league match. Top goal scorers from Brookes were Olivia Prince, Chaska Hutt, Ellie Ballard and Brookes captain Imi Edwards. We caught up with her to get her views on the match.
The game went really well today. The team played really well as a first match of the semester. We're really happy with the performance. Defence was very strong and the other team also mentioned it at the end, so I'm really happy with that. And attack likewise, we did really well, and all the training's been paying off, all that practice and the early morning fitness as well has really paid off, and I'm really happy.
A key element to the girls' success was first-time goalie and player of the match, Megan Cyclox. We asked her how she felt her first game for Brookes went.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my first game. The Loughborough gave a good game for me to practice my goalie skills, and Brookes themselves played really well, so it was really good to practice what we've done in training in a game situation. So yeah, it was really good.
The girls will go on to face Birmingham University in the semi-finals of the Conference Cup. This is Lish Motley for BrookesTV.
We've just got an update that the Brookes lacrosse girls have convincingly beaten Birmingham 20-7 in their semi-final match and will face Nottingham Trent University in the cup final.
And that's it for this week. Remember, all of our older episodes from previous series are available on the Oxford Brookes YouTube channel.
And if you'd like to get in touch, you can email us via brookestv@brookes.ac.uk.
Be sure to check out future episodes of BrookesTV News.
Thank you for watching.
See you next time.